What's going on, Master Duel fans? James here again. After showing you guys the deck profile from Stage 2 Fusion Cup, I figured why not give you some tutor about the deck of choice based off from the deck I play for the event. So, it is a 45 card Fairy Tale Charmer. Normally, this deck loves to go second at all times for the sake of not only to board break, but OTK as well. And that's what I'm going to showcase you guys today on how to not only perfect the board in terms of breaking it, but also kill shot your opponent. So, looking at this hand, we got so much to work with. So in most cases, as mentioned, board breakers, always got to have it in terms of going second. Now, with the leftover cards in hand, we got Fairy Tale Ball, which lets you get a Fairy Tale monster from deck to hand, no problem. So I'm going to use that right away. And the fact that I already got a Fairy Tale in hand, that basically means I can just get Match Giru. So that way, normal summon the sleeper. And Little Match Girl's ability is, if a spellcaster monster with 1850 original attack is on the field, you can free special this from hand or graveyard. But once doing so, you're locked into spellcasters. I mean, let's be real about this. Based off from the extra targets, you honestly do not care that much in terms of super poly targets when you're basically working with the Fairy Tales in terms of fusion, the one with Cat, which is a spellcaster, and the Chorozo as well. Little Match Girl, trigger, 2 special, and Little Match Girl depends on what is the rest of your hand is looking like. You could just essentially work with the whole entire board presence depending on what matchup it is, considering the fact that Super Poly is a card. So in most cases, I'm going to opt to have the equip spell just in case. And then in this spot, hook it up, fusion summon, into Weaver, who has the ability to special one Fairy Tale monster from your deck or banishment. Will indeed do that. Most cases, that'll be, you can have plenty options between Luna for double compulse, Rella for the equip if you have spells in your hand, otherwise Snow to book. But most cases it's between Luna and or Rella, depending on what the rest of the hand is looking like. Most cases, let's grab Luna. And there is another ability, according to Weaver, which is if you normal or special a non-Earth Fairy Tale, being the main deck ones, you can turn one of your opponent's monsters, effect monsters, into Prince of Fairies and have their effects negated, and it become a spellcaster while Weaver is on board. And what's going to happen is you have possible scenarios in terms of what to do while Weaver is on board. You can have Luna, who has the ability to target one face-up monster opponent controls. Your opponent has the option to send one card with that monster's name from their deck or extra deck to the graveyard to negate this event. Otherwise, return both targets to the hand. And generally, the idea is, in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, there is no such monster as Prince of Fairies in the original name. What's going to happen is Luna with the double compulsing ability is 100% guaranteed. And I'm going to basically do that. Double compulse. And then equip spell while it's in the graveyard, or if it's in the graveyard, I should say. This lets you hook one up to a Fairy Tale monster and it grants you an extra normal summon. So I will do this now. Extra summon of Luna, and Luna basically going to grab us in terms of what's missing. Depends on how the lines work. So most cases, I'm going to grab Snow, considering the fact that Super Poly is a card, and you'll see why in a bit. Now, there are lines where, if for whatever the reason, you got to think to yourself, can you calculate and kill your opponent this turn is the trick. And based off from what we did with the number of summons, you got to be mindful that Nibiru is a card in such cases. Normal summon was Sleeper, special was Mechgiru, which was number 2. Weaver was special number 3. And then Luna was normal summon, which was summon number 4. And in this spot, this is how I like to do the battle phase tricks. Always do at least a total of 4 summons in the main phase. And once those 4 summons are going to occur, up to, by the way, this is the part where if you have any quick play extensions in terms of battle phase tricks, you basically battle your opponent while you summon monsters because Nibiru is not a card. 2850, 1850, Super Poly it up. Don't forget, Super Poly is at 1 for this event. Ditch the Snow, so that way we want the graveyard effect of Snow to become a thing. Make Teller. And last but not least, Snow. And that's more than enough to perform an OTK and crack through a simulation board in terms of going second while playing through Nibiru. Now, in this other combo, since I'm forced to go first, what's going to happen is we're normal summon Luna. Luna is going to get us, well, technically, literally any fairy tale you want in any combination, considering the fact that I opened up Once Upon a Fairy Tale, but your best bet is still going to be Little Match Girl. Little Match Girl to extend. Search. We'll have the Ball. And Ball is going to keep the consistency going at all times. Grabbing the Continuous Spell. And the Continuous Spell enables us to reveal a spellcaster with 1850, and it's not just Fairy Tale. To put up an even more extra normal summon by all means. So in most cases, in this list of mine, I also play the Familiar Possessed as well, which means you want to save Once Upon a Fairy Tale for a better use. Which means Area is going to be one of those extra normal summonable cards. And get this, Familiar Possessed happens to be level 4 Spellcaster, which means you can still make a clean getaway making Fairy Tale Wiccat. And Wiccat enables us to detach up to 2 to Foolish Burial that many cards. Always Ash Blossom or Imperm the Wiccat, or even Veiler. you do not use hand traps on Luna and or Match Giru. It literally doesn't make a difference because that play loses to this XZ monster. What that means is if you don't have hand traps to stop this card specifically, you literally lose. Detach up to 2. And generally the idea, based off from what the hand is looking like, you can basically send literally any fairy tale monster that you want, mainly Snow, for the sake of Once Upon a Fairy Tale or its own effect. Otherwise, you normally send in the equip as well as the not continuous spell, quick play spell, so that way you want to have massive advantage. But I feel like since I have Once Upon a Fairy Tale on board, what I'm going to do instead is toss out Sleeper specifically and toss out the equip. And in this spot, Once Upon a Fairy Tale, summon out Sleeper and Rella. Graveyard, effect of the equip spell, hook it up to Witcat. Fusion summon. And based off from the leftover targets that we've been through, I think it's safe to say that Teller is the way to go in this spot. So in most cases, so that way you already have your negate, another negate, change the effect off from a normal spell trap, and a soon-to-be double compulse if the opponent does not play multiple copies of the targeted card. And on top of that, you also got the Witcat in terms of the graveyard effect. And once the banish a card off from Teller comes up, your best bet is usually Once Upon a Fairy Tale, so that way you get the reset button. So if your opponent cannot crack this board in this spot, you just flat out win. And then at this point, about a certain spot, this should be fine. Oh, would you look at that? Awakening of the Possessed, top dead. No issue. And I think this is more than enough to create an OTK again. And you guys are saying to yourself, how is this OTK? Good question. 2450, 2450, another 2450, and then Witcat is going to summon first and send one of the 2 light fairy tales to the grave, being Sleeper, Awakening, draw you one, and then you can also on your main phase to have this equip hook up to a fairy tale before you do battle, so that way, again, calculate yourself, can you kill your opponent on this turn or even on your next turn? And with this hand being a go first deck, well, normally this list is meant to be blind second because of Trapped, Searching Santa Claus, as well as Super Poly. And due to the fact that for this particular combo, in terms of forced go first, it's Ball, getting Luna. Luna, search for Little Match Girl. And in case of going second, just picture to yourself going second. If the opponent has a Towers monster, what you want to do is Fiendsmith's Strat, search you a light fiend from deck to hand, then ditch one. And the light fiend target I play in this list is Santa Claus. Now they fully know that Towers monsters are not going to do a thing because Santa Claus is a kaiju. And the card to ditch in this spot will be Matchgiru, because she herself can be specialed from the graveyard as well. So that way you want to keep your hand and field advantage as like part of your board presence. And another tech that I always loved, as you saw in the open hand, will be Susurus of the Sinful Spoils. This card was originally intended to be a Diabell Star / Azamina lore, but the effect text doesn't specify that. It only specifies being able to reborn a banished or from your graveyard a spellcaster or illusion, mainly spellcasters more because Fairy Tale and Charmers / Possessed are spellcasters. So let's do a little bit of a cute tip and trick on this one. Susurus, return to Luna, special Matchgiru, and because we didn't use Little Match Girl's hand or graveyard effect, we did not get ourselves restricted. So most cases about what to get in this spot, Fairy Tale Tales should do for the sake of extra normal summons. Reveal Luna, granting us an extra normal Luna, and Luna is basically going to get another copy. XZ play into Witcat once again. Do not use hand traps on Luna or Matchgiru, because if I find out that if I have an extension being Matchgiru, chances are if you hand trap one or both at the same time, by the time you get to Witcat, you already end up wasting around 2 to 3 cards if trying to stop all of this. Ball, hand trap it only if you think to yourself, if your opponent has no Fairy Tale, Luna, or Matchgiru in hand. Always think to yourself, do they have a monster? What are the chances of hand trapping the ball? If they do have Fairy Tale monsters, being Luna or Matchgiru, chances are they're going to extend and you end up losing your plays to this XZ. So remember, always, and I literally mean always, hand trap the Witcat. You do not want them to toss out really good targets such as the quick play, the equip, and or snow. Because if Witcat resolves, that basically means you are in a pretty good spot. Equip spell, hook up to Witcat, extra normal summon, being Luna, and Luna is going to help us with Sleeper in this specific spot. And then Little Match Girl, we did not use the effect of it yet. And then Fuse Summon based off from how much targets we use throughout the whole entire turn. I think this is basically confident at this point. Teller and Little Match Girl, or Witcat, excuse me. Witcat and Little Match Girl make Teller. And in this spot, you have Witcat's Graveyard Effect on anyone's turn, Teller with a negate, Luna with a Compulse, another negate out of Imperm, Super Poly for some fusion matchups, and I still have Sleeper for the summon off from Once Upon. Same goes for Luna and or Little Match Girl if I banish one of the two. And you guys will see what I mean about the position. Now, in this spot, okay, awesome. Opponent activates a card. This is the cute part about in this spot. Teller is going to banish mainly the main deck monsters, but you have to think to yourself, always find the possibilities of maintaining a legal target from all three locations due to Once Upon a Fairy Tale, which will enable us to activate it right now. Special summon up to one light fairy tale monster each from your hand, graveyard, and banish with different names. Do that now. Luna, Little Match Girl, and Sleeper. Luna come back, Little Match Girl come back, and Sleeper from their hand. And in this spot now, it's double compulse, negate out of Imperm, Witcat's Graveyard Effect, which is a quick effect, Little Match Giru with the search because we summon off for Once Upon, and Sleeper is going to change the effect to Book of Moon. So what's gonna happen is 1, 2, 3, and 4 interrupts most likely. Well, technically 3 interrupts and a negate being Imperm and Super Poly because, you know, picture yourself is Fusion Cup. So it's 4 interrupts and 2 negates. One of the negates that we used was Teller. And in this spot, Little Match Girl is going to help us with something for follow-up. Most cases, I don't know, quick play spell. Ironically enough, we drew or top decked Awakening spell again, and there are multiple combinations on how you can get your OTKs going while you have Teller on board in terms of battle traps that they have. You can have Witcat's Grave Effect to have it extend on a battle phase once you use Super Poly in terms of clearing out, but most cases, equip to Teller, and then time to battle it out. Little Match Girl, Luna, Super Poly it up, and in this case about what to do for Super Poly targets, you have plenty options of what to pick on this spot. So, Magistus Trozo, it's basically when a monster declares an attack, you can target it, negate the attack, and if you do, this card gains that much attack, and then you have the option to kick it back to the hand. Otherwise, in terms of battle damage is basically doubled in this spot. Otherwise, you know, typical fashion, fairy tale monsters at their peak. Most cases. Weaver, Awakening spell, draw one, and reset button, the Once Upon a Fairy Tale. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been James Polk with the tips and tricks on Fairy Tale Charmer Possessed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Smash the notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. And let me know which decks did you play for Fusion Cup in the comments below. And let me know how did you fare in that cup. Did you reach max level? Did you get enough gems? Who knows? That's the fun stuff. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Smash the notification bell to keep yourself constantly updated. And I shall catch you guys next time.